When you've had multiple pregnancy losses, the pain isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's exhausting and filled with questions no one seems willing to answer. Zara knows that feeling all too well. She had 2 losses, including one at 15 weeks. She was told IVF might be her only hope, and no one looked into the why. Not her MTHFR mutation, not her exposure to environmental toxins, not the deeper hormonal picture that could have explained everything. Until she found us, and we started connecting the dots. If you're new here, welcome to Fertility TV. I'm Dr. Marc Sklar, the fertility expert. For over 22 years, I've helped women around the world uncover the hidden root causes of their fertility struggles and finally get pregnant naturally or with some additional support. In this video, I'm sharing Zara's story, but I'm not just going to let you hear her journey. Throughout this video, I'm going to be jumping in to give you context, explaining what was really going on inside her body, what we addressed step by step, and how she finally got pregnant with the pregnancy of her dreams. Because her success isn't a miracle. It's the result of strategy, science, and the power of functional fertility medicine. If you've had losses, been told IVF is your only option, or feel like something is being missed, Zara's story might be the hope that you need. So let's dive in.
My partner and I have been trying to have our first baby for over 2 years, close to 3 years before I met Dr. Sklar. And it was pretty challenging for us, the journey for conceiving and getting pregnant and now having a successful pregnancy. We had 2 pregnancy losses in the span of 2.5 years. The first one was a 10-week pregnancy loss where we found out that there was no pole, or there was no sac in it. And that unfortunately did not become a successful pregnancy. And then the recent one was a 15-week pregnancy, which was a lot more challenging for us because we found out the gender and it was, we thought it was progressing well. And then unfortunately also a loss. And so before Dr. Sklar, my husband and I were talking about potentially doing IVF and seeing if that was something that would be a better approach for our fertility journey. And then I found out Dr. Sklar through YouTube, actually, because I was looking through different YouTube videos about fertility, how to optimize my fertility. And then I saw that he had one video about femoral massage. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That intrigued me, and I tried it out, and it felt like it was, and then read some of the research about it, and it felt like it could be something that could potentially help. And then he had some videos about castor oil. And so I was like, this is kind of this doctor seems like a very reputable and like recognizable doctor in the industry for fertility. And so I found out about his HOPE program. And I really loved my initial introductory call with someone from the program, just everything that he to do. So basically my husband and I made a commitment, like we were going to take 8 to 9 months to try naturally. But before that, before we were going to try to conceive again, we were going to practice all of the things that Dr. Sklar wanted us to do. So we took a bunch of tests with him. I'm
going to stop her here because I think this first and foremost is such a crucial thing. She said, my husband and I, they made an agreement together what they were willing to do as a joint entity to change the results, to make progress. So together they determined that they're going to follow the recommendations that I give them. And the next point, number 2, is that they gave themselves a specific timeline. I love when I see this sort of thing because then we're not questioning everything every day or every week or every month. We say we're giving ourselves X amount of time. They give themselves about 9 months to see progress and to see change and to see results. That allows them the space. It takes away some stress and it gives them an opportunity to see the progress that they can achieve. And so I love those 2 points that they were able to do. And I'd love to see when others do something similar to this. Okay, now to hearing more from Zara.
Like a full-on fertility lab test, including like some of the miscarriage panel tests. We also did a environmental toxin test. And then that one, we found out that I actually had a few different things that could be improved on that side, including BPA was really high for me. It was higher than normal, the average. And then a few other related like environmental toxins that needed to be improved on. And so I was put on a protocol for that, including diet changes and then some sort of like detoxification supplementation, and then sauna was recommended to me. So we did that. I did that for like 3 to 4 months. And then Dr. Sklar was really good at just like communicating and
So I should stop here. So the next point that I really want to highlight is that environmental toxins are real. And in her case, I do believe that they were potentially impacting her hormones and impacting her ability to hold a pregnancy. Now, this is something that I think is extremely important. We know that these toxins and exposure to these toxins, which we're all exposed to on a daily basis, are endocrine disruptors. And we need to support our body, in her case, support her body, to eliminate those things efficiently. And that was one of the first things that we did for her. I don't believe that this is the only piece, and I know that in her situation it was not, but I think it was a key piece because it allowed her to really regroup, clean things up. It allowed her hormones to start to function properly, which made a significant difference. In my Hope coaching program, we have everyone start with a environmental toxin test in the beginning phase of my process for everybody. Zara was no different. We had everyone do this environmental toxin screening. That gives us results like it did for her in her situation, where we could see which toxins were really elevated, in her case, BPA. She thought she was doing a good job eliminating BPA just before this, but clearly she wasn't. She needed to do a better job getting rid of her exposure, and then we needed to support her body to get rid of the excess or extra high levels of BPA in her body. And that's what we're able to do. This is something that we do for all the members in my coaching program. If you want a deeper understanding of your hormonal shifts, what you're exposed to, what your environmental toxin levels are like, how they're impacting your fertility, your ability to hold a healthy pregnancy, you can set up a call to talk to someone on my team to dive deeper into your situation, your case, like I mentioned previously. That link is in the description below. We'll jump into hearing more.
And we also found out that I had MTHFR from some of the lab results that came up. And with that, I had to have like a different type of prenatal. And so he put me on some really great high quality prenatals that I have never heard of, which was really nice because I think that's like, if you want high quality fertility, like you need to start like proactively with like great diet changes and also supplementation. And so I included that as part of my supplement.
Look, so now I want to just touch on this piece that she just mentioned, her MTHFR. I don't believe that pregnancy losses are random. I think and believe and seen over the last 22 years that there is a reason, especially when you have a loss at 15 plus weeks. It shouldn't have just been brushed off and just said, oh, this was just unlucky for you, and we should start to look at maybe IVF as an option for you. This is where we need to start to uncover some underlying causes. I've done many videos on underlying causes and root causes for pregnancy loss that you can check out after this video. In her situation, we needed to look deeper, and I believe that things were just ignored or overlooked. Like her MTHFR mutation, to me, that was a real substantial finding that wasn't addressed properly until we started to create a proper plan for her. It was causing more inflammation into her body, which we were able to determine by additional blood work. That toxic load that we talked about previously, of her environmental toxins, was also contributing to inflammation. These were all contributing, stacking one on top of the other, compounding, if you will, and causing or making it more difficult for her to hold a pregnancy. So I don't believe in randomness. I don't believe that when we start to see patterns of losses that these things should be brushed off, which is what was happening for her. And so we were able to dig a little bit deeper.
I did inflammation diet as well, and that really helped. And then after 8 months, tried again and conceived naturally and a successful birth. I had some like concerns about like, is this okay? And like I would send messages and email him, and he was very just compassionate about like how we've been like really stressed out in the past, and has provided a lot of recommendations and suggestions on what to do. He was giving me updates on like what other medication I should be doing depending on like what symptoms I was having. So that was changing like pretty frequently with him. And then I had a bit of a scare because I did also have like light bleeding in the beginning, and he kind of provided some support there. But in any case, like 9 months later, like we had a successful birth. It was perfect. Everything that we could imagine. She's healthy. So yeah, it's just been a crazy journey, and I'm really grateful for Dr. Sklar because I think without him, we would have not known about these other labs and other results that could be improved on, because my doctors weren't very proactive with me. They would say like, okay, you've had recurrent miscarriages and pregnancy losses, but we can't really do anything about it. And your next step is really IVF.
Before we continue hearing more from Zara, I want to highlight a couple pieces. The next important piece or point for all of you is getting proper emotional support and a proper strategy to keep you calm and grounded to yield the success that you're looking for. Anytime someone has had a loss or even multiple losses, the stress associated with being pregnant and the potential trauma and a little PTSD is real. You know, her loss was at 15 weeks. Until she got to 15 weeks and beyond that, she was always going to have this little fear that what was going to happen next and how was I going to get the support that I needed. So when we support couples in the Hope coaching program, it's not just about a plan and then walking away. It's about ongoing support, especially for those individuals who've had recurrent pregnancy loss. We have a whole piece of ongoing support in our program designed to support couples who have had losses because it is so challenging emotionally. We have to change our mindset. We have to be grounded. We have to find trust, restore trust in our body, in our ability to conceive, and understand that with a little bit of time and the right plan and process that we're going to yield those results. That doesn't happen overnight. That takes time. And that was something that Zara needed ongoingly, including into her pregnancy, right? And you heard her just say, this is my next point. You heard her just say that her OBs didn't know what to do. The doctors didn't know what to do. They just said, you know, your next option is IVF. Just because you've had a loss, IVF doesn't answer that question. Unless we know what was the root cause behind that loss, we don't know if IVF is the right answer for you. So I think it's really important that IVF isn't just thrown around, and I have no issue with IVF for those members who need it, but it shouldn't just be thrown around as the next step without having some answers. And I think that was really crucial for Zara as well. All right, let's jump back in to hear from her.
Given an undiagnosed infertility, which is like, you can't really provide any like actionable steps for that when someone gives you that diagnosis. And so I'm really glad that Dr. Sklar was super proactive and kind of provided me some next steps on what we can do. So yeah, it was comprehensive on my end, but also for my partner, he ran a lot of tests for him, which I really appreciated because my OB/GYN was primarily focused on me. She ran some tests, but it wasn't comprehensive, but like never really asked about my partner. And that's also interesting because half of the issues with infertility are also caused by your partner.
She said what I wanted to say. 50% of all, not just fertility issues, all losses are male factor related. So if we ignore that, we're definitely ignoring a big piece. And then she bears this burden on her shoulders, this big burden on her own without recognizing or knowing, like, is my partner even a factor in this, right?
We ran a few tests for him too and found out areas that he could improve on. So like together with those, changes, we were able to conceive naturally.
Getting pregnant after a loss is possible with the right support, with the right plan. Whether you've had multiple losses, one loss, MTHFR, been told IVF is your only plan and your only path forward. If you have the right support and the right plan, it is absolutely possible. And that's where the Hope program works because it's built on your data, not assumptions. And one of the key things that she needed to recognize and remember and trust in is that her body wasn't broken. It was just waiting for the right support to be able to give her the results that she deserved. And that's what I want you all to take out of this video, that it's absolutely possible. And Zara wants you all to take that out because that's what she keeps reiterating. We're going to just wrap up by hearing her last words.
Like the traditional route of medical intervention when it comes to fertility is you try a lot, you don't get a lot of data or results back, and then eventually they'll say, well, if you want to improve your chances, like you can go through IVF route. And I really think that that's a flawed way of going about it, because there's so many things that you can really improve on, but without the support that you need, you won't get there. And so with Dr. Sklar, he's really comprehensive and like has a lot of knowledge, and his whole team you got a lot of support in terms of like getting the right data and getting the right information to get you to the place you want to be. And so some people, like, maybe, yes, like the IVF route is the way to go, but like there's so many ways that you can improve your fertility before then. And I didn't know that before going through Dr. Sklar's program. So I would say if you feel hopeless and you feel like you don't really know what to do and your doctors aren't very responsive or like supportive, and the only thing that you've gotten is like, you know, maybe go IVF route, I would say like expand your horizon and go through the program, because he goes through like a lot of examinations and like tests so that he can uncover some things that you can work on together with your partner.
You all deserve answers, and you all deserve results like Zara. And that is possible, even if others have told you that it's not. We just need a different perspective, a different approach. And you all need to trust that there is another path besides what maybe one doctor has told you. Zara's story isn't rare. And if you've had a loss, felt dismissed, or are afraid your only option is IVF, this is your invitation to clarity. Book your free fertility assessment now. We'll review your full history, dig deeper into what's been missed, and create a personalized strategy just for you. This is your next step, not just toward pregnancy, but toward understanding and hope. Click the link below, because your story is still unfolding, and it can have a beautiful ending. Until the next video, stay fertile.